Well, a very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286, and I'm just going to pause to try and straighten the microphone. Patricia and David with you on this rather gloomy Wednesday, 5th
in case you're wondering about the balloons, they're actually filled with hydrogen, of all things, and they have on board what they call a radio sonde, and this picks up all of the data from all the different pressure levels as the balloon is rising in the atmosphere. It starts off with 850 millibar, 700 millibar, which is 10,000 feet, 500 millibar, which is 18,000 feet, and 250 millibar, which is way up there, about 30,000 feet. Anyway, this data is sent at noon to the major modeling centers around the world. And so all of these stations, all the ones up on the islands, New Zealand, Australia, places in America, on and on and on, everybody at UTC noon lets go these balloons, and some do it at midnight as well. And that all becomes the basis, or partly becomes the basis, for the weather models that you're picking up, your grid files, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, that's the story there. So we'll start with Fiji, and there is a strong wind warning that continues to remain in force for all Fiji waters. They talk about the southeast wind flow that's prevailing over Fiji with the high pressure system that's to the far south. In fact, that high is right now, it's between New Zealand and what's the
islands.
Yeah, but anyway, it's just east of New Zealand. But guess what? It's actually going to retrograde. It's going to come back over New Zealand, and then it's going to hang around for a while and become kind of a blocking high. Anyway, that's a lot of wind that's pushing up to Fiji, anyhow. So that forecast, and this is from Fiji Met, is for southeast winds 15 to 20 knots and increasing 20 to 25 knots from later tomorrow. Moderate to rough seas, and the seas becoming rough from later tomorrow. I like that expression, from later tomorrow. The further outlook, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots. Rough seas, moderate southerly swells. And yeah, that's interesting. Obsession is reporting far less wind than that, and they're getting pretty close, so I'm not sure when we're going to be seeing the winds that the Met Service there is talking about, but we'll hear again from Obsession tomorrow. Okay, so let us move over to Tonga, and Tonga is saying their marine weather bulletin, they have warnings for coastal waters, and they're sticking with the heavy damaging swell that's in force for all of Tongan coastal waters. And yeah, they really mean that when they're talking about damaging swells. We've been up there. We've been to Tonga quite a few times, and it can get pretty nasty for the poor folk on shore. Anyhow, there's a small craft advisory also for Tongatapu, and basically that's the main place for that small craft advisory. Anyway, forecast for midnight tomorrow for coastal waters, and they're talking about the Niuas, but we'll just stick with what they call the rest of Tonga coastal waters, which would be the main part of Tonga, the three main parts. Southeast winds 10 to 15 and rising up to 20 knots at times. Moderate to rough seas 3 meters, and that damaging southerly swell up to 3 to 4 meters. And for Friday, and this again is for all Tongan coastal waters, southeast wind 15 to 20, that's up a little bit, and rising to 25 knots at times, and a moderate to rough sea up to 3 meters, and a moderate southerly swell up to 3 meters. So there we go for Tonga. And I promised the Vanuans that I would talk about the forecast for Vanuatu, and this is also from their Met Service, Vanuatu Met Service. 3 areas they like to give, and the first one is Luganville, and for Thursday they're calling off partly cloudy, highs of up to 30 degrees, low of 23 degrees centigrade, of course, and winds 15 to 20 knots out of the east. And for I'll just continue with Luganville. For Friday, also partly cloudy, and same temperatures, winds 10 to 15 knots, and that is actually, that's out of the west, according to their Met Service, out of the west. I'll have to check that out. Anyhow, Port Vila, for Thursday, it's partly cloudy. Friday, it's also partly cloudy. Temperatures the same for both areas, 22 low, 29 high, and winds 10 to 15 knots. Actually, for tomorrow, it's 15 to 20 knots. And Friday, it's dropped a little bit, 10 to 15, and Saturday, 10 to 15. And then Lenikai, which is down to the south area, for Thursday, same thing, partly cloudy. Friday, partly cloudy, and Saturday, mostly sunny. And being further south, it's a little cooler, low of 21 and a high of 28. I can remember Lenikai down there. One of the things the people wanted the most when we would go ashore would be they wanted blankets, and we didn't really see a need for blankets, having just come from the land of the cold, but they were freezing in 28 degrees. So there you go. Anyway, the winds down there, 10 to 15 for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So not much change there at all. So that's the 3 basic areas. And looking at satellite imagery for Fiji, it looks pretty nice. This imagery is a couple of hours old, and I can see a band of cloud on the southern part of Fiji, but not much for the rest of Fiji. So it's looking very, very nice. I'm sure you're enjoying that. And looking at Vanuatu, sunny. It looks very, very nice in Vanuatu. And for Tonga, yes, I could see the cloud that Barry's talking about whizzing through. Fairly high, cold cloud, just the right sort of a menu for rain, and that's what he's getting. And the islands to the south, the Hapais, and down there at Tongatapu, we're seeing the upper clouds going west to east fairly smartly, and when they do, you'll see a shower or 2 from them. And then looking at the lower clouds, they're a little bit slower. In fact, they're hardly moving at all, and they are coming and they're going, but not stratus, so they're all either strato-Q or scattered cumulus. So that's about it, I think. I was looking at the MJO yesterday, but I didn't do it today. So when I do get some info on that, I'll let you know. And I think that's pretty much it. Here's the chief.
Oh dear, I think we better allow ourselves another 5 minutes to get organised tomorrow instead of getting stuck on doing things on the computer. Blankets. We did bring a whole pile of blankets the following year, good woolly New Zealand blankets, but I think they all went to Erromango. Anyway, apologies for those people listening on streaming. I managed to push the off button when I adjusted the microphone, but we'll sort that out. And the only thing you missed were the positions. Mackay has arrived. Obsession are a day and a half away from arriving, and they have got about 30% cloud cover. This is going towards dinner hour. 1.5 metre east-southeast swell and about 12 knots from the east-southeast, so they'll be arriving Friday. And Kohinoor, we're at 2445 South 179, but this was a couple of hours ago because their transmit wasn't working. Looks like they're plodding along 3.7 at 044 course. The winds are pretty light in that area. Oh, you want to say something more? Okay.
Hello for those in Vanuatu again. If you'll recall, I was looking at what they were putting out, the Met Service was putting out, and I saw west, and I thought to myself, how could they possibly be calling off westerly winds? Because there are no westerly winds there. And then it dawned on me what they're doing is the forecast that I was looking at is what they call the public forecast, so not for mariners. It would seem, and they're giving an image of the wind. So they've got a circle, and then they have kind of a little triangle thing that points, you would think, to the wind, but it's not doing that. It's pointing the direction the wind's going. And so when you've got west, what it really means is it's an easterly wind. I will not make that mistake looking at them tomorrow, and I will try to get the marine forecast for those that are interested. So anyway, that's the story there. And here's the chief back.
All right, if there is anybody wanting to make contact, tell us anything interesting going on, please call now. No, nothing heard. That's about it. Apologies again for the muck up on the streaming, and we will be back again tomorrow night. But oh yeah, there's a boat going to be leaving on Friday. I will remember who that is shortly, and we will be back tomorrow night anyway, so talk to you then. If anyone wants the frequency, it's now all yours. Cheers everybody. You're welcome, Lisa.